Hi, it's Pastor Jim Driscoll of Christ Lutheran Church with the NCTV 45 Thought for the Day. We've been talking about living your life in Jesus, in the place where you work, where you practice your vocation. I'd like to remind you that I have had various groups about living our life out in the place where we serve the rest of our life, not just on Sunday, our workplace. We're using Elaine Eklund et al. Book, Religion in a Changing Workplace. I think, purely my opinion, that the workplace in general has become more accommodating to those of faith. To be sure, that is all faiths, not just Christians, as much Islam, Hindu, Buddhist as is Christian. That is just going to be a fact of life. But it might be an evangelism opportunity when you might share a space or interact somehow. I started to talk about having a local group to discuss their work in the workplace as a Christian looking for help, support, encouragement, or to be proactive in sharing their faith in the workplace. Email me through our website. It's christlutheran-newcastle.org so we can discuss further. One way to encourage exercising your faith is to share with management what Eklund wrote about in their book. People function a lot better when they know they can exercise their personal life within limits at the place where they work or participate in the community. Quote, people who feel called to their work are more likely to have a sense of purpose, commitment, and satisfaction in their jobs. Experiencing a calling at work is a beneficial component of work and something workplaces should endeavor to facilitate. This is where you also feel that you're more part of the organization. Often people feel they are responsible not just for their job, but to see that the organization is being treated with proper respect, not to force your Christian beliefs, but to return the respect paid to your beliefs and to build a much more solid relationship for the management to appreciate what you do. Build that relationship so that you will have an opportunity to grow even further in that company. I'm Jim Driscoll, the pastor of Christ Lutheran Church, 1302 East Washington Street, Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Check us out on the web. It's christlutheran-newcastle.org. Questions, comments, contact me on the website. For a transcript of today's thought, go to revjamesdriscollmdiv.com. Sunday worship is at 10:30 a.m. All are welcome with the NCTV 45 thought for the day. God bless your day. Hi, this is Pastor Jim Driscoll of Christ Lutheran Church with the NCTV 45 thought for the day. I can't believe I forgot Bastille Day last week, July 14th. I did march around with my French red, white, and blue, and I sang the Marseillaise. So I feel I paid my respects to the country that did so much for our independence back in 1781. Also for the Marquis de Lafayette and French toast and French fries, too. Anyway, we have been talking about living life in the workplace. As I've said, I'm hoping we can start a local group to encourage, mentor, helpful support. Elaine Eklund et al. In their book, Religion in a Changing Workplace, point out providing employees with this kind of support can do a great deal to improve the morale of the organization and also the individual's morale. They write, workplace leaders who both care about rectifying inequities in the workplace and want to foster the more positive aspects of calling should concentrate on creating environments where workers in all roles and at all levels have the opportunities to experience feeling called to their work, end quote. The more the idea we are called to the work we do, whether it's exalted or humble, whether we live We live it in relationship with God. We want to do more to foster that relationship with God and management in our workplace. I'm Jim Driscoll, pastor of Christ Lutheran Church. We're at 1302 East Washington Street, Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Check us out on the web. It's christlutheran-newcastle.org. Questions, comments, contact me on the website. For a transcript of today's thought, go to RevJamesDriscollMDiv.com. Sunday worship is at 10:30 a.m. All are welcome. 10:30 Sunday with the NCTV 45 thought for the day. God bless your day. Hi, it's Pastor Jim Driscoll of Christ Lutheran Church with the NCTV 45 thought for the day. We're talking about living your Christian life and whatever God has put you to serve Him and the people you serve with. Yes, we serve. Jesus said, I have not come to be served, but to serve. It's also the motto of one of my collegiate alma maters, Bridgewater State University. Likewise, our perspective has to be about how do we serve our family, our employer, our community. This can go a long way toward better corporate health and an employee's overall health. Elaine Eklund et al. In their book, Religion in a Changing Workplace, make it clear from their findings the places where we serve when those places facilitate an environment that allows you to practice your beliefs without interfering with the function of the organization. There is more trust, more feeling of ownership, feeling of safety. We know that both Hindus and Muslims can be very violent, so we need to let those organizations know to watch for signs of violence on the part of anyone. Christians never justify violence. Some try, but they're wrong. We all know other beliefs certainly do, and they need to be guarded against. Eklund et al. Wrote, if managers and workplace leaders do not want their employees to burn out or find other places to work to fulfill their calling, they need to provide fair and equitable working conditions. In today's world, workplace to fill jobs are becoming harder to find, quality people even more so. Management has to be a lot more proactive in facilitating an environment where instead of inhibiting people in their beliefs, their religious practices, in order to foster a more dynamic organization where people feel they have to suppress, but within limits, express their religious beliefs. It sure is an opportunity for Christians to live out and model how a Christian looks in the workplace. Hopefully, it might even tend to suppress the violent tendencies of others. I'm Jim Driscoll, the pastor of Christ Lutheran Church, 1302 East Washington Street, Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Check us out on the web. It's christlutheran-newcastle.org. Questions, comments, contact me on the website. For a transcript of today's thought, go to RevJamesDriscollMDiv.com. Sunday worship is at 10:30 a.m. All are welcome with the NCTV 45 thought for the day. God bless your day. Hi, this is Pastor Jim Driscoll of Christ Lutheran Church with the NCTV 45 thought for the day. We're talking about how we live our lives as Christians in the workplace, in the community, in our family, anywhere where we can model our faith. Elaine Eklund et al. In their book, Religion in a Changing Workplace, point out another important need in our community, continuing to try and raise up those who are on the lowest part of the culture of the corporation or any structure. How can we model and witness to them how Christians want to help people improve their lives? It's in the interest of many parts of our culture to keep a lot of people down. We deal with a lot of leadership that says the right thing, but their practice is to provide the bare minimum and to propagandize how it is better to keep receiving benefits than it is to try to improve your life. We Christians have always been about ways to help people with their life, not just to give them a bare minimum benefit. Eklund et al. See Christians as a positive force to help people to move up in life, for corporations to join that effort and to be more proactive in encouraging those at the bottom of the corporate ladder instead of exploiting them, as is so often the case. They write, organizations can help cultivate calling in lower level positions by understanding how those at the bottom are faring, encouraging adaptive coping responses, and facilitating organizational changes that may increase meaning and motivation for those workers. And for us as Christians to be more of a force for those who work with us, to give them help to build new lives. I'm Jim Driscoll, the pastor of Christ Lutheran Church, 1302 East Washington Street, Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Check us out on the web. It's christlutheran-newcastle.org. Questions, comments, contact me on the website. For a transcript of today's thought, go to revjamesdriscollmdiv.com. Sunday worship is at 10:30 a.m. All are welcome. With the NCTV 45 thought for the day. God bless your day. Hi, it's Pastor Jim Driscoll of Christ Lutheran Church with the NCTV 45 thought for the day. No book in our life on vocation is complete with at least discussion of Brother Lawrence's The Practice of the Presence of God. Kudos to Elaine Eklund et al. For bringing this book up. Brother Lawrence was a medieval monk, cloistered in a monastery. Other than his Christian's duties as priestly monk duties, he was also responsible for washing dishes of fellow monks. Many men might be too prideful for such a menial task, but Brother Lawrence was all about how he could serve God. If God put him in the scullery to serve by washing dishes, that was fine with him. Wherever God directed him, Brother Lawrence faithfully followed. Eklund et al. Write, according to Lawrence, quote, that our sanctification did not depend upon changing our works, but in doing that for God's sake, which we commonly do for our own, unquote. Lawrence wrote that he found meaning and purpose in his work and even came to see the act of washing dishes as a spiritual practice, which he saw himself doing obediently out of a pure love of God. He did not think of his prayer time as separate from his work time, but rather his work washing dishes became an act of prayer, unquote. No matter how exalted or humble our vocation, what we do, how we serve, we need to do it knowing that we serve God and his people. Nothing is too humble. I know that there are Christians that get disgruntled over the place that God has put them. Well, they just need to be gruntled. Okay, took a shot. But we need to be more about not just how we deal with our own issues to our vocation, but helping others to come to terms, take to God what they are doing in their lives and how that is to their good and the good of those they serve. I'm Jim Driscoll, pastor of Christ Lutheran Church with the NCTV 45 thought for the day. We're at 1302 East Washington Street in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Check us out on the web. It's christlutheran rev-newcastle.org. Questions, comments, contact me on the website. For a transcript of today's thought, go to revjamesdriscollmdiv.com. Sunday worship is at 10:30 a.m. All are welcome. With the NCTV 45 thought for the day. God bless your day.